This is the birth chart for Gypsy Rose Blanchard. This is going to be a short one. I'm not a big fan of doing readings like this after learning about this person. So I just want to point out a few things. She was a Libra rising, Moon in Aquarius, and Sun in Leo. And the ruler of the chart is Venus. And I want to preface this by saying that none of this, if anyone has this in their chart, it does not mean that this is you. It's just one of the ways that we can find things like this after something has happened. Looking back at a life, we can see that the chart can show this. So what I'm specifically indicating here is when we're looking for trauma, we look to the 11th house. And trauma is relative. I have two planets in the 11th house. I have Uranus in the 11th house, Jupiter in the 11th house. Remember, one of my best friends had Venus in the 11th. And yeah, there's some traumatic experiences in the life, but nothing to this degree. And we see in her chart, she has Mars, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter in the 11th. And the ruler of the chart, Venus, is in the 11th. And we have Mars there as well. So I think that's important to note as, making this more, if we were going to predict something, we can see, okay, the ruler of the chart, Venus is there, Mars is there, or Venus is in the 11th and Mars is there too. And Pluto is making they are making a square to those planets, and these Mars and Venus is moving towards, it's getting closer to that square. She also has planets in Aquarius, so we're going to see if there's any planets in Aquarius. She has Saturn and Moon in Aquarius. So already we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets in Aquarius or the 11th house. And then we look at Uranus, and we see Uranus is conjunct the North Node. It's also conjunct the IC. So we see trouble, we think of trauma, and we think of the IC as being emotions. And it's in Capricorn, the family life, the emotional life. We see clearly there's trauma to the emotional life, family life, and specifically the mother with the 4th house there, but the parents in general. We also can look at this. She had a lot of health issues, so we can see Mercury there as well. I'm not going to get into specifics, but my guess is we could correlate that to some of the health issues, the mental health issues, and physical health issues as well. Of course, in all of the 11th house in Aquarius could correlate to physical issues as well, just because there's so much there. She also has a trine. Uranus is making a trine to this Mars and Venus as well. And it looks like it's moving towards a Pluto, an aspect with Pluto. And we can take a look at this. Her MC here is in Cancer. Father, you could say Cancer, the family. The ruler is the moon, and the moon is in the 5th house. So we see more trauma with the mother. And what's interesting is that the boyfriend, if you don't know this story, I'm not going to go over it. You have to look it up for yourself. The boyfriend, she met him on the internet, and he had a lot of issues, and we see trauma with the boyfriend, moon in the 5th, the romantic partner. We also can see the 7th, the ruler of the 7th is Mars, and that's what's conjuncting that Venus in the 11th. So, up until that point, the 7th house being the relationship partner, and up until that point, it was just physical health and maybe some family trauma. And we see Saturn here in Aquarius as well, and it's opposing her sun. So it's like her sun is herself, and the ascendant is herself, and opposing herself, the rising, and opposing her sun is Saturn in Aquarius. So we think of Saturn as being malefic, Mars as being malefic, and we see the seventh as Aries, which is ruled by Mars. So opposing her, like what she's looking at, relationships that she finds herself in life, are of a malefic influence with that Saturn and Mars. And we see the South Node is in Cancer as well. So we see the South Node near the MC. South Node also can be known as malefic. And the ruler of that is the Moon. So where she's coming from can also be associated with Aquarius. And I'm not going to say much more about this chart. I might do the full in-depth breakdown. So I've started my Patreon, which I'm going to start adding full, at least hour-long readings, in-depth chart readings of many of the charts that I've looked at already on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested in that, head over to my Patreon. And I will also include courses that I will do, everything astrology and tarot, the really good in-depth stuff, the in-depth teaching I will include on my Patreon. So if you're interested in that, check that out. But for now, I'm going to leave this chart alone. And if you have any comments, feel free to leave them in the comments section. And hope you'd enjoy this mini chart reading for Gypsy Rose Blanchard.